It's strange how much love you can carry for someone without them ever knowing the full weight of it. You never shouted it. You never wrote long paragraphs or made dramatic declarations. You just existed in their orbit quietly, consistently, like background music they didn't realize they needed until it stopped playing. You remembered everything. The brand of gum they chew when they're anxious, the exact way they tilt their head when they're pretending not to care. That one hoodie they always reach for when the world feels too loud. The childhood fear they laughed off but told you about at 3 a.m. once. You collected those fragments like they were rare coins. You kept them safe. You turned them over in your mind when no one was looking, because to you, they mattered. You became the place they could land without explanation. When their voice cracked on the phone at midnight, you listened. When they disappeared for 3 days and came back with a casual "hey," you answered like no time had passed. When they vented about the same problems week after week, you never said, "You've told me this before." You just stayed. You stayed through the mood swings, the mixed signals, the "I don't know what I want" phases. You stayed when it would have been easier to leave. You loved them in silence, so they never had to feel the pressure of loving you back the same way. You told yourself it was noble, that real love doesn't keep score, that if you just kept showing up, steady, understanding, low maintenance, eventually they would see. Eventually they would look at you the way you looked at them. Eventually the scale would balance. So you smiled when they flirted with someone else in front of you. You laughed when they made jokes that landed a little too close to your insecurities. You said, "I'm good," when your throat felt tight. You said, "No worries," when every cancelled plan felt like a small death. You buried the hurt so deep it almost felt like it wasn't there. But hurt doesn't disappear when you ignore it. It just changes shape. It becomes shorter replies, longer silences on your end, a little less enthusiasm when their name lights up your screen, a little more time before you hit send. You didn't plan the shift. It happened naturally, the way a candle flame lowers when it's running out of wick. And that's when they finally noticed. "Hey, you okay? You seem off lately. What's with the distance?" Funny, isn't it? They never asked, "Are you okay?" when you were carrying their entire emotional load for months. They never asked, "What do you need?" when you were the one always asking them. They never asked, "How are you really feeling?" when you were memorizing every detail of someone who couldn't remember if you preferred tea or coffee. They only noticed when their convenience disappeared. You weren't dramatic. You didn't yell. You didn't block them. You didn't post vague stories or subtweet. You simply stopped volunteering your heart like it was free. And in that small withdrawal, everything became clear. The love you kept quiet wasn't quiet to spare their feelings. It was quiet to spare yours. Saying it out loud would have meant risking the truth, that you were only irreplaceable when you were useful, that your depth was only valued when it served their surface, that the moment you asked for the same care you gave, the connection might vanish. So you chose silence over certain rejection, but silence has layers. There's the silence of hoping, the silence of waiting, the silence of pretending everything is fine. And then there's the silence of knowing, the silence that says, "I see you clearly now. I see what this cost me. I see that I deserve more than crumbs." That silence isn't empty. It's full of boundaries you're finally drawing, full of energy you're redirecting back to yourself, full of the love you used to give away. Now being given where it's actually safe. You still feel the echo sometimes. A song comes on and your chest tightens. Their name appears in a group chat and your thumb hovers. A memory flashes. The way they laughed that one perfect night. And for a second, you almost text. But you don't. Not because you hate them. Not because you're bitter. Because you finally understand love that only flows one way isn't love. It's devotion without dignity. And you're done being devoted to people who won't meet you halfway. So tonight, On this day when the whole world is loud about love, you choose quiet differently. You turn the phone face down. You light a candle just for you. You walk through the same streets you once walked, hoping to run into them. And you walk for yourself. You're not closing your heart. You're just no longer leaving the door wide open for anyone who won't knock. The love you kept quiet is still there. It's just not on offer to everyone anymore. It has standards now. It has patience. But only for people who show up with their own. It has space. But only for people who fill it instead of draining it. One day, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not this year, someone will match the quiet you've been carrying. They won't need you to shout it. They won't need grand proof. They'll just see it, feel it, return it. Until then, keep the love you kept quiet. Protect it, nurture it, let it grow roots inside you instead of branches reaching for someone who never reached back. Because you are not too much. You're not too quiet. You're not too broken. You were always enough. They just weren't looking closely enough to see it. You were always enough. They just weren't looking closely enough to see it.